the arms of the angel, fly away from here, from this dark, cold hotel room, and the endlessness that you fear. You are pulled from the wreckage of your silent reverie. You're in the arms of the angel. May you find some comfort here.
I just think of this.
By the time I do my reading, I'm going to be wasted.
All right, ready when you are.
Or need a nap. Okay, ready.
Action.
This is your intuition calling to invite you to be part of something very special. It's a free introduction to Amy to the Second Power, and it's hosted by two experienced mediums named Amy. Yeah, no coincidence. Amy, same name. Do you think it's coincidence? Because we don't at all. But you can decide. Are you already a medium or a psychic and you just want to fine-tune your skills? Or do you want to learn to become more psychic or a psychic medium? Or do you just want to improve your own intuition, which we all have, to help you grow and learn and overcome challenges in your life and find your true path? Did you ever think of someone and then they all of a sudden call you? Everyone, I think, has intuitive abilities. We're born with it. It's like an extra sense that some people don't bother using. This show will be for everyone and all of your needs. We're going to include all different things and topics about paranormal. We're going to talk about near-death experiences, dream interpretation. We're going to have guest speakers. We are going to have people that call in. You could ask questions. You could tell us your fun ghost stories if you want. You might even be the lucky one that gets a reading from one of us psychics. So please join us. Maybe your loved ones on the other side will join us as well. And then we can all be on this beautiful journey. So I'm telling you, you will not be sorry if when you join in. How do I know this? Because I'm psychic.
Hi, I'm Brunette Amy.
Hi, Brunette Amy. I'm Blonde Amy.
And we are Amy to the Second Power. So I'd like to tell you a little bit about my abilities. I was a complete skeptic and non-believer of anything supernatural until I was about 50 years old. When I was 50, I had an event happen to me, a supernatural event, which I will go into in greater detail in one of our future shows. After the event, I had to rethink everything I thought I knew about psychics, mediums, and even God. As my mind opened, more and more unexplainable things started happening to me. I started seeing ghosts or spirits around my house. I was sleeping and I felt someone squeeze my arm, and I turned. You get that too.
Uh-huh. Mark Wahlberg the other night, just so you know.
So I turned to yell at my husband for waking me up, and no one was there. So after all these weird things started happening, I decided maybe I should start looking into this a little bit. So I started researching, talking, asking questions, asking Amy questions, and then I just started trying to do readings on people. And thanks to a lot of my fantastic non-judgmental friends listening to me, eventually I actually got pretty good. It took several years and it took a lot of practice, but if you're listening to our show and you think that you're not psychic, keep listening, because I believe that I can teach you the same way that I learned. So some people say that I'm gifted or chosen person to relay messages to people, but I don't believe so. I think that the gift was actually given to me, because now I know with 100% certainty that I'm going to see my mother again and my grandmother and a lot of other people. And it's going to be one hell of a reunion. And keep watching us, because you can do it too.
Absolutely.
You were never a skeptic, were you, Amy?
I was born an identical twin who happens to be calling in right now, but okay. It's not, we always pick the same clothes at the
Was it
same
actually
time.
ringing, or were you just psychic?
It doesn't matter. We know. We're thinking of the other person, so it just ends up, she'll call when I was calling at the exact same time. We have the same dreams. We've had telepathy and psychic abilities and ESP, extrasensory perception, if someone doesn't know what those letters mean. Some people actually don't know that. But so you learn something new anyway. So always, even paranormal, things would be flying across the room, and we look at each other as children and say, okay, did you see that? Yeah, I saw that. And
now it's your husband throwing things across the room.
Well, with this and myself, it was great because I had a witness. So that was awesome. Until we got a little older and realized that not everybody was like that. As I got older, we both started realizing that it wasn't the norm, so to speak. We still used it, but yeah, when I met my husband, we've been together for 27 years. So he obviously knew that there was a lot of, did you see that little boy just walk by? And he'd be like, no, Amy, you're the only one that sees that. Did you hear that music playing? No, the radio's not even on. Whatever.
Did you think you were crazy, Amy, at first?
But I think I helped him be more spiritual. I think I opened up his mind to things that he never would have thought of before, which has helped him through his life become more spiritual. So it was a kind of a good thing. But believe it or not, my biggest fears were being painfully shy, and I was so afraid to speak in public, and I actually had a fear of death. So doing what I do was one of those things that not only helped me along my path overcome those things, but also, and answer questions, but also help many other people along the way. So I think that everybody has this ability. I just think that they just have to fine tune it or remember it. I think people had it since they were in the caveman times. But
we'll help people learn how to do that in our show.
Absolutely. And the first part is to be very open to the possibilities of it. But I always say it's like playing the piano or being an artist or any of those kinds of things. Some people are just better at it than others. So that's how I look at it. Because obviously I can't be a singer. I could, but you wouldn't want to hear it. But we have our special abilities, and to not use them is a shame.
So our show is perfect for people who were born with this ability, and like we've been saying, people who just want to learn how to get a little bit better. So let's talk a little bit about some of the different shows we're going to have.
Okay. One of my favorite shows that we're going to do is about dreams, and a whole dream segment, which we'll go into more on the next show that we have. But everybody has dreams. Some people say, oh, I remember them. Some people don't remember them. But there's a really important aspect to dreams. Dreams are something that are subconscious. talking to our consciousness for several reasons. So we'll get into that more. That's one of my too.
Yes, we will definitely talk about that, and we'll talk about recurring dreams, visitation in our dreams, one of my favorites, lucid dreams, that in between time when you're just about to fall asleep, but your brain is still going. I think it's called hypnagogia, something like that.
Say that 3 times fast.
Actually, since we're talking about dreams, that is part of what helped me turn from a skeptic to a believer. A couple of years ago, I had a dream about one of my very good friends from high school, and the dream was that she had breast cancer. I hadn't spoken to her in about 20 years. Woke up in the morning, couldn't stop thinking about her. So she was on Facebook, so I messaged her again for the first time in 20 years and just said, "Hi, I've been thinking about you." And I didn't even need to see what she wrote me back because I saw it in my brain. And what she said is, "Hi, it's funny you're reaching out to me now because the doctors think I have breast cancer." But now we've been reunited and we're great friends again, and she's doing well, thankfully.
Divine.
And you had some pretty interesting experiences with helping the police with one of your dreams.
Absolutely. Well, a few. Sometimes dreams are literal and sometimes they are more metaphorical. So just for our audience to know, if you have a dream that you're drowning in an ocean, it doesn't mean that tomorrow you're going to be drowning in an ocean. Lots of times it's just helping you understand that what you're feeling in your daily life might be something like, I feel overwhelmed. So you look at your dreams that way and also write down, if you remember them, or if you can, have paper next to you so you can write things like that, because it doesn't necessarily mean it has to be that way. Although I've had dreams where for 4 nights in a row, I had a dream that someone was going to steal my purse or my wallet. And I just assumed it was my daughter going off to college and it was a loss kind of feeling.
Yeah, she lost all your money kind of feeling.
Yeah. Well, someone did steal my wallet right out of my purse while food shopping. So I look at both kind of things now, but I actually felt something even at the time, which I wish I would have used my intuition a little bit more on that day. But yes, I've used it also for detective work because I've had dreams about people that were missing or unfortunately passed, but it's always through the eyes of the victim. I will not allow negative spirit, so to speak, to come through or to come into my life. So I will go even through somebody who is missing or kidnapped or to help their family, but I use their eyes, so to speak, to see what the person looks like that is the perpetrator. And then I will call the detectives and give them whatever information I wrote down or got in my dream. For example, the Natalie Holloway case, I had a whole dream. And I woke up my husband and let him know that I saw her. She showed me 3 Black Panthers walking around her and 3 times. I mean, also, there's a lot of 3s in there, which, by the way, we have a show on numbers as well. But the next day, he goes, "Amy, you got to see this." And the actual killer, they didn't know that at the time because they were letting him go with his 2 buddies, were walking out and he was wearing this huge Black Panther shirt. And so they'll give you different signs and things like that. So
like you said, it may not be what it looks like at face value. And we're going to have a whole show just on psychics solving crimes and even some famous psychics who have solved crimes throughout history. So
This was, it's, if I could just be a part of some of these things, and I've called around the world, I've called different countries, I've called different states. And at first I was like, are they listening to me at all? Are they writing things down? But they seemed very open to it. So
which is amazing that they didn't hang up and say some nut job just called and said she knows how to solve a crime.
but listen, if it matches up with what their detectives are seeing, and there's no possible way I would know these
Right.
things, then it's another reason.
Which you've told me before. Yeah.
Hey, listen, I'm not doing it for the reward. I
Right.
really want family find peace and, find their loved one. And so when it actually comes about, it's very rewarding, for sure.
Yeah, I think it's important that we talk at another show about how it is important to use our abilities in a proper manner, not to try to find the lottery numbers or, like you said, for the reward. So one of my favorite shows coming up is going to be on skeptics. Not only was I one, but I still think that down deep, I am skeptical about all this. Though I 100% believe it, but there's still a little voice in my head that, well, literally, that says, this is just too crazy to be happening. But one of my main,
right now, I'm sitting in the middle of, Ireland, so anything can happen. Just
that is
kidding.
true. So one of my, in our skeptic shows, one of the most important thing to me is to somehow convince my sister and my husband that this is real, because it pisses me off to no end that neither of them believe this. We'll definitely have to have them on our show.
And that's there's plenty of skeptics, but I always say it's not like a religion. I'm not trying to change you. You don't have to believe if you don't want. When someone is open enough and they're ready, they will. They'll take something from it. So it's always,
to me, like it's mostly men who don't believe. I don't know. You see a pattern with that?
I would say probably more men, true, but that I have seen, but there's a mixture.
Yeah.
And
yeah,
even ourselves saying, oh my God, did I really see what I just saw? I always first say, maybe there's something wrong with the lights, that they're flickering like that. Or maybe
right. You look around to see where did that come from.
Maybe my cat made that sound.
Right.
When they're,
The air conditioning or the fan pushed that door open.
The thing is you have to get rid of the logic part of your brain and go to the other side. But when you can't figure out that there's a reason and it just keeps happening, you just can't help it. To know that there is something more to it, that we just don't have all the answers.
Right. Well, I love it when I'll be at a party and I'll ask someone's husband if they have more wine. And they say, well, you're a psychic, don't you know?
Oh, yeah,
okay, we don't know everything.
Yeah.
And it's not an exact science. I used to get very discouraged, Aim, and you helped me a lot in the beginning because I would be maybe 70% accurate. And then you helped me realize that 30% that I was inaccurate. Sometimes people will call me 3 days later and say, oh, remember that elephant, the glass elephant you were talking about? I just remembered. My grandmother had that sitting on her card table.
Yep. Dates, times, people. That's why I always tell all of my readings to all the people, write it down. Because those names, people, places, things, they call it actually psychic amnesia, I believe. And it's so much information that people are getting at one time in a reading that sometimes they just don't realize it at first. So that's why it is an important thing to do that.
I actually didn't even believe you in the beginning. And I've known you, Aim, since we were single in our early 20s. But I remember after my mother died, you said to me, you channeled my mother after she died, and you said, Amy, your mother's was someone named
Mordecai?
Mordecai, thank you.
Something like that, right? Mordecai. I remember.
And I was like, sorry, Amy, you're wrong. I don't know. I don't think we've ever known anyone named Mordecai. The next day I saw my dad. I said, oh, Dad, did you and Mom didn't know anyone named Mordecai, did you? He goes, yeah, that's my father's Hebrew name. They always referred to him as Mo, so I had never heard Mordecai. So
That's why
that
I
was one.
write it down. I always ask people, did you ever do ancestry? Because sometimes you see people that, or I go into the difference of psychic and medium and explain to them also.
Right.
Some they will tell me names of people that are still living. It doesn't have to necessarily. They want to know that this, so they know what's going on, and they talk about that. They might use nicknames. They might talk about people that are living and people that they knew in the past, because there is no past, present, future on the other side. So it's a lot closer than people think.
I think you're right. So another kind of interesting show that we're going to have is Psychic, PSYC, the first four letters. The definition is the totality of the human mind, conscious and unconscious. So I'm kind of curious how psychology are intertwined. I work I'm in geriatrics, and I work with mentally ill adults, and some are schizophrenic, and they see things and they hear things that no one else sees, which is similar to us. So I think that'll be kind of interesting. That'll be kind of interesting to delve into whether there's a correlation there.
Well, I think one day it's going to be science and what we do will be the combination, and it will a little closer. I think they will see things. There might be things that we're not supposed to know. There might be things that we're not supposed to do something about. Like if I can't solve the mystery, the detective, I would scream out, oh my God, there's going to be an earthquake. And my husband would be like, oh my God, you said something about earthquake 3 times, but I don't know exactly where it's going to be when. Right. So that can be difficult sometimes because I want to save the world and everyone. There might be times that we're not supposed to do that, but I think there is a difference. Maybe a long time ago they used to, or we might have been, was a school teacher. So teaching is one of the things that's important to me. So I think we're those helper people, and there's different ways of doing it, through our lives that can teach other people or try to figure those things out. And then there are the people that have those, that's what they do. They are psychologists. They do work in hospice. They do know the difference of those things. And I think everyone's going to eventually kind of combine in some way, but maybe we're not supposed to know everything. Maybe it's okay.
I think there might be a correlation between ADD and psychic ability, but we can talk about that during one of our later shows.
I have too much to be able to sit still for that one.
Both of us. Another kind of interesting show is going to be on medical psychics, and like to tell you about experience I had. Ran into a gentleman that I hadn't seen, that I see every couple of years. And I said, Michael, you need to go to the doctor and get checked out. And he said, what am I supposed to do? Say, hey, doctor, I feel great, but Amy told me I need to come. Sure enough, within a month, unfortunately, he was in the hospital and pretty sick. And that's happened several times. And don't know if that's intuitive by just looking at someone's appearance or whether there is psychic.
There is absolutely psychic people that are more the medical psychic way. I use a lot of the chakra and colors that help me know that, and sometimes I'll just know it. It's the difference between clairvoyance seeing, clairaudience is hearing, clairsentience feeling, claircognizance is just knowing, and sometimes you don't know why. And some people are better at the physical. I think that you are definitely in tune with that.
Yeah.
I might know the area. I might know that somebody has something, but there's that ethical part of it that makes it kind of difficult because you don't really want to walk up to, I don't care if they're your friend or stranger, and
right.
say, you know what, you're going to have a heart attack. You better get.
Yeah.
But at the same time, there's ways of saying things like that might be helpful to maybe say, you know, when was the last time you've been checked out? You know what is a great thing though? We could always blame it on the other side. Grandma says that
Right.
Because
I've kicked myself a couple times for not saying it, and then it's come true. But we can teach you, the audience, also how to hone in on medical if that's something you're interested in, because I think there is a technique to that. If you agree.
And there's the Reiki, the healing themselves. People can, through meditation, there's many different ways that not only themselves, but healing others around us in ways. I'm not saying that you should never go to a psychologist, go on medication, go to your doctor, any of those things. I would never tell someone not to do that. This is a different aspect to all of that. That is helpful, but maybe different.
Okay, so lots of fun shows to look forward to. A couple more just to give you an idea of what we're going to be talking about. A couple of our upcoming shows will be about reincarnation, interpreting signs, how the spiritual world crosses with religion and science, numerology, astrology, patterns, colors. We're going to talk about just about everything. So, Aim, I want to tell the audience about our next show, which is show number 2. It's outstanding. It's we're going to have some callers of readings that you and I have done, and one of them almost brought me to tears, and the other, I just love hearing some of the outright crazy things that you've been able to tell people, and the way you've helped them is just unbelievable.
Thank you. I feel the same. And I always thank any of my clients, readies, whatever, that it's not just me. It's really about, and you've said this before, it's about the other side, helping us. We're just the mediums.
Absolutely.
They come down, we come up, and then we meet in the middle, hence mediums.
Yep.
That's what we do.
Well, that will be primarily our show, and we always integrate helping you, the audience, learn techniques. And, Amy, you want to tell the audience about some of your some questions that you've gotten on our email recently?
One of them is, are my loved ones okay on the other side? That's a big one. Are they with our other loved ones on the other side? Right. That's a question. What it's like, the transition from here to there, the other side. Are they watching me? You know, like when I'm doing
things. They watch you in the bathroom?
Showering, bathing,
having sex? I never thought about that.
Yeah, well, people have asked me that. I could definitely give you the answer on that as well. So,
maybe Grandma will give us some pointers.
It depends who Grandma is.
Never know.
Is her name Crystal?
Some pointers in the bedroom.
Yeah.
Amy, you want to tell everyone?
They have given me things that I always...
Oh, boy. Yep. That's for a much later show.
Yeah, well, we'll get to that.
We will. But, Amy, you want to tell everyone your mantra?
Well, first of all, I say this every day, and everybody can have their own mantras. Everybody can have, whatever works for you, life, love, whatever. For me, I always say, be open, accept, expect, and trust. And then practice, because I do to practice. Absolutely. And I say that every day, more than once, lots of times. Well, and I ask an angel and help me out with all this. But that's the main thing I usually say. And they're little words, but they're mine. You can use them. I share. Not my Pop-Tarts, but other things I'll share.
Well, before I do readings, I get very nervous still because I don't feel like I'm that good yet. So my mantra is, in this moment, stay calm, relaxed, and don't give a shit.
Perfect.
Helps me keep things in perspective.
Yeah.
We can't wait to see you at our next show. And feel free, hopefully you'll call in or email us. And
We'll tell you
again,
where second.
our main
What's
objective is to help you learn how to develop your psychic skills, because it's really a wonderful, fun skill to have. See you next time.
Okay.
Bye, Aim.